What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special broadcast here on the No Ceilings YouTube channel and podcast feed. I'm Stephen Gillespie of the Draft Sicko Show, and I have a very special show for you today. If you're on YouTube, you can already see that I have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on the 6'3", around 190 pounds guard from LSU, Cam Carter. Cam, how are we doing today, man?
Man, I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. I am just getting settled in back home from a fun trip in Portsmouth, which I
Oh
know
yeah.
that you were at. I got to watch you play a few games there, and I'm settling back in. Had a good Easter weekend, man. How's everything going with you?
Man, everything going good. Same as you, getting back from Portsmouth and then, leading up to Easter. Had a good time seeing my family, going back to Donaldsonville and enjoying that.
Right on, man. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, for this interview, I know that there's a lot of people that know you, but there still might, be some people who want to get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. We've seen you do your thing on the court. I want to start with the question, Cam, just real quick. What got you into basketball? What really started your love for the game?
Man, so I told this story a million times and to the, teams this weekend, but so in I forgot what grade it was in or how old I was, but my mom, she make how your mom just put you in activities, just want you to do something. I played football,
Yeah.
basketball, did
Get out of the
baseball, did
house,
all that.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, just get out of the house, do something. Yeah. So I started playing biddy ball in Donaldsonville. And so I was actually good to say it was my first time playing. And I made All Star and all that. So in school, I wasn't on my best behavior always, and I got in trouble at school, and I made the All Star team. My mama told me I couldn't play, and that hurt me
Mm,
to the core because I'm like, all my friends playing. I'm like, but ma, he playing, and she told me no. And then every weekend to go past, and they'll have tournaments and stuff, and I ask them, ma, can I play? No. So
mm.
that ever since then, I'll try to be my best in school, and I just started loving basketball from then.
I love it. I can almost hear like what my mom would say if I said something like that. Well, I'm not their mom, like
Yeah,
that's just the way that it goes.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you grew up playing ball in Louisiana. I'm from Arkansas, so we're essentially
Okay.
neighbors.
Right.
You played ball in Louisiana. Then you ultimately go and play for Oak Hill Academy.
Hmm.
Averaged about 13, 4-4. You made it as far as the quarterfinals and the Geico Nationals. What was
Hmm.
it like playing for Oak Hill? Because there's some pretty well known players coming through that program, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I did a lot of work leading up into that point, and it was just my first time being in a practicing every day against guys that's just as good as me, and that's when I really figured out like, okay, yeah, I'm a dog. Like just being different and wanting to be better than everybody, and just and I say that's when I learned like, okay, like I'm actually like a pest on defense because and where I'm from in Louisiana, it's normal like to just play rough and you get fouled and you just play through it, talking trash and all that. That's just normal. Like that's just a regular old
Hmm.
pickup game. But like me being like for real, but me going to Oak Hill, I learned like, okay, I'm really different. Like I have a different type of game to me. Like it's not just my talent, it's like the dog in me.
Okay, right on. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that in a minute. But what was your recruitment process like? You're doing your thing in Louisiana. You're doing your thing at Oak Hill. What was it like for you going through the whole recruitment process?
Yeah, so it was actually tough for me because coming out of high school, that's when COVID, and that was the first year of the transfer portal.
Yep.
And so at the end of my senior year, I had like a few mid majors and stuff like that. But Coach Smith, at Oak Hill, he told me, I was better than that, and he told me I was good enough to play anywhere. And we sat in his office, and he asked me where I wanted to go, and he'd make a phone call. And he made that come true, and I chose Mississippi State. I prayed on it. I prayed on that decision probably like a day, and the next day I told him Mississippi State.
So I know that that's close by, not too far from home, right? You're playing in
Yep.
the SEC. What was it like for you adjusting? Because you're talking about you have the scrappiness to you, and you're a pest
Mhm.
on defense, and that just comes naturally. Playing
Yeah.
SEC ball, that's the most athletic conference in all of college basketball. What was that
Right.
adjustment process for you like?
Honestly, like it was like a hold on, I'm coming my call. It was like a humbling decision. I mean, like not a decision. It was like a humbling experience for me. Be- Yeah, I went through that part of just the ups and downs. Really just being a freshman and I say that year I put in a lot of work, and learning to stay ready. Like that was the biggest thing I took from that year, just stay ready.
Okay, yeah, and so you had a good role for Mississippi State, but you ultimately end up transferring to Kansas State. You go from being a role player as a freshman, and then you go into starting your next year at Kansas State, even making it as far as to the Elite Eight.
Hmm.
What was it like for you adjusting to, okay, I'm moving from one school to another, different conferences, and there's different levels of feel for the conferences, right? Like
Hmm.
everyone's an athlete, but every conference has its own particular feel. What was it like for you kind of making that transition, not only in conference play, but you're kind of thrusted into a new role as well?
Right. So just learning, like picking out things that I'm good at and being great at it. So in that case, I had to be a shooter and a defender because we had scorers like Keontae Johnson, Marquise
Mm.
Noel, Naquan Tomlin. We had those guys to score the ball. So really just taking a back seat and then picking up the change. So whatever they needed me to do, I was gonna do it. Like seriously.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty talented team right there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Naquan's doing his thing, part of the
Yep.
G League now, getting spot minutes in Cleveland. I
Hmm.
mean, we've seen Johnson do his thing as well. You a pretty big jump, I would say, from what you were doing in Mississippi State to the K State there. And then for your junior season, you're playing at K State, obviously still, and at this point, you're routinely scoring in double figures. You've continued your stout defense. Are you feeling the most comfortable that you felt in your college career to this point? Because I mean, that level of production
Mm.
is was just something that we hadn't seen before up until that junior year.
Yeah. Yeah, not for sure. Like, you know how when you have like those seniors and they leave, you like, shoot, I'm next up. So that's how I felt. And and so in that summer I just was grinding, man. I put in so much work that summer just working on my shot, just like learning how to make shots, in different spots, which I was already, good at it, but just trying to be better at it because I knew like going into that year I was going to no matter who came in, I felt like I was gonna be that guy, and I say that respectfully because we brought in some good players for sure.
Oh,
And
but
yeah,
it's good to have that level of competition, though. Like, no matter who you're going to come in, you obviously want to bring your best because that's going to make everybody else better, right?
right, for sure.
Right on. And then so after the K-State season, you ended up transferring to LSU for your senior year. Was that just a case of you want to spend more time back in Louisiana where you're from? Like what all kind of led into that decision?
So I felt like it was in order for me to be the player that I wanted to be. I feel like I would have to go somewhere else, and I just felt like at the time, me and Coach Tang, we didn't. I feel like in a way, I feel like I wasn't good enough to be like that guy, like how I wanted to be, like having the ball, because I wanted to be a point guard too. Like and I feel like Coach Tang was more so like he wanted to rebuild, I'll say. And
Okay.
so yeah, I ended up transferring, and once I hit the portal, it was like, okay, I'm hearing what it sound good, but my heart really was at LSU before it even happened. So yeah.
Okay. So I want to kind of stop there because you talked about when you were getting recruited, that was during COVID,
Hmm.
and it seems like that was forever ago that COVID happened. I feel
For
like we
real.
already as a society have just kind of moved on, that we just want to forget that that ever happened.
Right.
But I think during that time, we started seeing the transfer portal really start to take off. And you leaving Kansas State to go to LSU, I want to kind of hunker down there because I'm infatuated with just like what a player goes through, what a person goes through when they
Right.
go through the transfer process. So, can you kind of share with us what that's like just as a player being in the transfer portal?
So you mean to start from high school or in college?
We can do both, just like maybe
Okay.
even just kind of cover the differences that you
Yeah.
experience.
Oh, so I mean, I'm gonna start from my freshman year. So I'm not gonna lie. So after I got in the portal my freshman year, it was, man, I started crying because I'm like, man, I don't know what this is. Like, we got a new coach in at Mississippi State. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if anybody gonna want me. I didn't have a good freshman year like how I wanted to. You know, it was so at that point I was just banking on faith and God, and I mean that's what you have to do anyway. And I feel like that was
That's
the
right.
right decision, the right thing to do. But yeah, I was just man, I was just scared. But God, like He always do, He found a way for me, and I landed at K State with a God fearing coach.
There you go. So,
Yeah.
and I could understand that, right? Like you have, we'll say it was a mild season your freshman year,
Hmm.
playing at Mississippi State. Coaching changes. I feel like people look at coaching changes a lot differently than they do like a player entering the transfer portal. You're at
Hmm.
Kansas State for a couple years, and then you enter the portal again to go to LSU.
Yeah.
Was there a big difference in the transfer portal process whenever you're going for your senior year at LSU compared to when you were transferring from Mississippi State to Kansas State?
Yeah, most def. Cause I feel like this go around in the portal, like I feel like people were more they were looking at me like I feel like it was more money thrown around than they were throwing around an opportunity. Like it was, we have this amount for you. You come, you're gonna be living like this. You're gonna have this. We can give you that, and not and that's what I made it my thing. Like if we're not talking about position, like I don't care about the possessions. So that's how I handle this process with that
And
portal process.
that's a good point that you put on there because I think even the recruitment process is so much different now. The introduction of NIL is not even so much about team construct, but it's like kind of what we can do for you. But it's good
Right.
that I think it's great that you surround yourself with people that you do that you're looking for the on court stuff as well as the NIL things, and it worked out great for you, man. Because I
It
mean,
did.
at LSU you had 16 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, over a steal a game, great splits. You shot extremely well from deep. About just under 40%.
Mhm.
What was your mentality like going to play for your senior year? Did you have any goals that you set for yourself, or any areas of improvement that you were looking to kind of build up on while you were playing this past year?
Yeah, for sure. So Coach Matt, like that, he was big on just making me the most efficient player as possible, and I was big on it too. And that was pretty much, I'll say, an agreement we had. Like I was just gonna grind and grind and grind, and he would help put me in the positions to make me successful. And I
Sure.
mean, I'll say we both did a pretty good job of that. Even though the season didn't go as planned, I feel like we still did a good job of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you made great strides in your game, and a lot of your teammates did as well. So Cam, after that, I think the most recent thing that I saw you do right was obviously Portsmouth. I just mentioned that you and I were both there, and I
Right.
thought you had a fantastic showing, particularly in that first game. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Cam. I had a preconceived notion of how I thought every player was gonna go in there and play.
Yeah.
And Cam, I would say that you threw all my expectations in the trash. Like I thought you were
For
gonna go
real.
in there with like a mindset of scoring
Yeah.
first, and your point of attack defense was phenomenal. I thought that you did a really good job competing for loose balls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was that a mentality shift for you? Was that something that you really wanted to kind of put on display
Yeah.
for the scouts that were there?
Yeah, most def. Cause I mean, you hear inside information and stuff, and I mean, if you know Cam Carter, like, okay, yeah, he a bucket. Everybody know that. And
Yeah.
I just want to show teams, what else I can bring to the table. Cause I mean, for example, I mean, the Cavs. I mean, they have Donovan Mitchell. They have what's his name, Darius Garland. They
Yep.
have guys to score the ball, but they need guys, to defend and slow down the best player and do those kind of things. And I just want to show teams and people that I can, bring that to the table. Because like I mentioned earlier, like just that dog in me is there,
Hmm.
and I just want to show people it is. I'm not just a scorer. I'm more.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's something that sometimes, and this is why it's important to surround yourself with good people to give you
Hmm.
that sound advice, because some people will go down to Portsmouth and they'll say, I'm going to get my 30 shots up, and teams aren't necessarily looking for a 30 point per night score at
Right.
Portsmouth, right? They're looking for what you did, that defensive intensity, that connective piece, the guy who's just going to go out there and be super competitive.
Right.
Cam, I wanted to just, if we can expand a little bit, what was the selection process for Portsmouth like for you? Because in all honesty, this was one of the deepest crops of players that Portsmouth has had in a while. But
Right.
there were some people like RJ Felton got invited like the day of, had to make a 2 hour car ride up
Dang.
to go out there and hoop the same day. What was
Right.
that process like for you getting selected?
Man, honestly, kind of close. Honestly, it was. I think it was smooth for me. Um, I don't know the exact time frame. I got the notice before, but yeah, it was smooth. I got the call from Coach Matt. You know, he told me you got selected in Portsmouth. You know, it's a big deal and stuff. And he told me he gave me a little advice. You know, not to go out there a while and you know. So yeah, it was cool.
There you go. All right, Cam. So I want to, now that Portsmouth is over, I want to ask what's next for you, like on your path and for your dreams to play in the NBA.
So hopefully, the G League combine and the NBA combine. And I feel like having the experience from Portsmouth, I'm gonna go into those combines ready. Like I feel like I'm at an advantage already because the guys that's coming in, they really don't know what to expect. And I've already been through a setting with GMs and coaches, watching live.
All right. So Cam, last question that I have for you before we let you go, and I really appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time.
Sure.
With the NBA being an obvious goal, what would an NBA team be getting in a Cam Carter?
Huh. They'll be getting, a believer in God first, a God-fearing man, a hard worker, a competitor, and a guy, that hates to lose.
Yeah, well, those are all great things, man. So, Cam, I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there anywhere for people who can follow you on social media to
Mhm.
kind of keep up with you and your journey? Where could they
Yeah,
find you?
yeah, for sure. On Instagram, CamC.5. And I'm really not on Twitter or X, I call it, but at Cameron Carter 23.
All righty. Well, Cam, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for everybody watching and listening. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere that you get this, and hit us with a thumbs up anywhere that you're listening. But that'll do it for us here at No Ceilings today, and we'll catch up with y'all next time. Much love, y'all.